Hey everyone, welcome back to your week ahead astrology breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver, and this is a week I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for. This is a week where there are a lot of shifts happening, a lot of new beginnings, a lot of transits being activated. So let's just buckle right in because this is where it gets to be really exciting. New breath, new activations, new inspiration, all the newness. Also, I want to announce that I have some offerings that are going to be available for this week if you want extra support. First off, the Aries New Moon workshop, that is already available. All these things are available, but in terms of timeline, you can find the link in the description of this video. Secondly, I'm going to be doing a new moon gathering live on Zoom. It's open to 6 participants. So by purchasing this, you're going to get the New Moon workshop for free. To supplement that, I'm going to be going over themes I've been seeing a lot in client sessions and just downloads I've been getting on my end. With that, everyone gets 15 minutes as well. I can pull up their chart, tarot, anything that they like. So tickets for that can be found as well. The link in the description of this video. And then lastly, a new offering that I'm doing. It's called a Saturn support call. So yes, Saturn in Pisces, Saturn returns, everything regarding Saturn to help deconstruct some of the negative connotations that are affiliated with that planet and help to remove the stress and how you can actually use that planet to your benefit. And of course, if you're going through your Saturn return, if your natal Saturn is in Pisces, this could be a great opportunity to get that support, to get some one-on-one time. So that's going to be offered this upcoming Saturday being Saturn's day. Same kind of format as my lunar live gatherings. It's going to be open to 6 people. I'm going to be starting off those Saturn support calls with sharing more knowledge about Saturn. That first part's going to be recorded, and I'm going to send it to the participants after, so they always have that. And then also we're just going to look at Saturn transits, how we can work with Saturn. And then if people want, they're also going to get 15 minutes to go into their chart to see where Saturn is, to look at their Saturn transits in their actual charts. They can use all the knowledge to help them actually apply this certain transit or just Saturnine principles and help make the best of it. All right. So any questions on those general offerings, let me know. But otherwise, we're going to go straight into it because like I said, there's a lot of goodies to start off with. I hope you all heeded my warning from last week, not warning, but suggestion, because we had the moon in Pisces for most of Sunday. So that would have been a phenomenal opportunity to slow down, to rest. We're still in that dark moon, that balsamic moon. We're literally closing off, one could say, the energetic year, with it being the final day of Pisces. This, I also feel like you can do a deep purge, like a spring cleaning type vibe with the moon being conjunct Neptune, the sun. Be very careful of your energy, who and what you give your energy to. This could just be a great day. Like, of course, if you have to go to work, that's fine. But that evening, purge, release, recycle, clean, like do all the things to welcome in this new energetic year, the new moon in Aries season. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of fulfillment. There's going to be a lot of new beginnings. There's going to be a lot of inspiration. So also, you can really, depending how much work you want to do kind of internally, you can look at all areas of your life and what's not bringing you happiness, what's not bringing you joy, what's not bringing you fulfillment in different parts of your life. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Sex and the City when Samantha is shopping for wigs, given that she's going through chemo, she's going to lose her hair. And the guy is offering them all these things like, oh, this one is named Candy and she's very popular. And Samantha just looks at them and she's like, no, and no. And I say that because the moon is co-present Saturn. So there might just be like, you finally have went through so many energetic tests or lessons that you're done overextending yourself. You're done feeling unaligned. You're done not putting yourself first. And so it's going to be very clear who and what needs to go to welcome in this new energy. And I mean, the moon in Pisces is also making sextiles to Venus, the North Node, and Uranus. So there might also feel like a complete shift and a change. And like I said, being careful of what and who you give your energy to, because the moon is also making that square to Mars. Also, Neptune, the sun, we're still kind of dealing with that energy. And this is a bit of a sidebar, but a lot of people often ask me how they can understand transits in astrology. And sometimes the best way to understand transits is in hindsight. So last week we had Mercury, the sun, squaring Mars. And so even that Mars square Neptune was very prominent last week as well. So you can see where maybe things were confusing or nebulous, or where you didn't have as much energy, or maybe you were stressing or freaking out about your overall dreams. That also could have been something that last week you were able to break through the illusion, now especially with Mercury and Aries, to know full-heartedly what you want and what you want to pursue, right? This new start, this new chapter in your journey. This can also be true on Monday as you're purging and releasing, is that you're fully owning what you went through and no longer maybe playing the victim. It's very clear what your dreams are, and you're going to put more energy towards that. Anything else that isn't in alignment has just got to go, right? In terms of Pisces, I always think just like drinking a glass of water, it's very indicative if there's something like lemon or a mint in that glass of water. It's going to taste different. It might probably taste good to you, but if there's dirt or poison and you're drinking that water, it's like, oh, why am I drinking this? But if you've been conditioned to believe that that water tastes good, then you're like, oh, well, this is just how all water tastes. And then when you taste like beautiful spring water or clean water, you're like, oh, there's no way I'd ever go back to drinking anything but that. And you can use that water analogy with energy. And I think that is how we can use, one, Saturn in Pisces, but two, this dark moon energy as we're fully resetting to go to Tuesday, which is all the goodies. So we're going to see here the moon finishing off its transit in Pisces before we get to the new moon, which is going to be at approximately 1:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. Of course, we're now in Aries season. This is a vibe because the sun is exalted in Aries in the Northern Hemisphere. The days are getting longer, right? So there is a general brightness of forward momentum. We're going into a new wave of energy. And I mean, I'm excited for this just because the sun is now co-present Jupiter for this entire Aries season. So for those of you that are in Aries, Aries rising, Aries moons, any prominent Aries energies, this is going to be quite activating. It's going to be a very, very positive transit for you. So if you've been feeling like you've been going through it, trust and believe there's going to be some really good activations for you. And even just for everyone, given that Mercury is going to be here for the next couple of weeks, looking to see which house in your natal chart is ruled by Aries is really going to be of huge benefit. And we can also see here, like when that moon reaches over into Aries, there's going to be 4 planets in the sign of Aries. So there's definitely going to be some newness, some activation. And furthermore, this year in 2023, we're going to have 2 new moon in Aries, because one is going to be on March 21st. The second one is going to be on April 20th. And the one on April 20th is a new moon solar eclipse. So this part of your chart, or just that Aries energy, that cardinality, starting something new, the ambition, the courage, is going to be a major backdrop type energy for the next 4 weeks. So if you feel called and inspired to start something new, to make a change for your benefit, please, please, please listen to it. I feel like it's probably going to keep on coming in. Maybe some of you already made that decision, or you're already in the process of doing that, but this is the time. And like I said, I feel like everything that we've been through in 2023 has been leading up to this. And we haven't even talked about Mars moving into Cancer and Pluto moving into Aquarius yet. That will be coming up. But I just want you to be aware of these energies, because it doesn't mean you have to make all these decisions on Tuesday. It might just mean that the spark, the inspiration, the idea, even on Monday night with the moon conjunct Neptune, Monday night will be a very powerful time for dreaming. You might want to, on Monday night, clear your schedule so you're just cultivating your own energy, and so you're able to see what comes up in the dream realm, even asking questions to your higher self, to your subconscious, to God, source, universe, what needs to come through in the dream realm to help your physical dreams come true. That way, when we get to the later parts of this week, when those opportunities arise, it will feel aligned, so you can just say yes. All right. Now, if we move on to Wednesday, we also see here that the moon conjunct Chiron, conjunct Jupiter. This could be, again, maybe you've made the decision, but there might be a little bit of doubt or hesitation. Can I do this? What if, all those things that can sometimes come through. The one thing I do want to note is that on Thursday, Pluto will move into Aquarius. So we also now have this moon Pluto square happening. So this could kind of be like you are now making the decision. There's no going back. And it doesn't mean that you can't go back and revisit things. It means that you're no longer playing small. You're no longer putting others before yourself. You're no longer going to make an excuse as to why you're not doing what you want to do. And that is very powerful. And there might be those subconscious fears, doubts, beliefs that you're working through. So really take this opportunity to dive deeper, to do some of this work, to get maybe some secondary healing from external resources. And I will say this, a lot of times people will talk to me, whether it's in the DMs or client consults or even just like random friends or lovers from the past, and they're going through something really turbulent and traumatic. And I ask them, are you going to see a therapist or a healer? Like, no, I have my friends. That is okay in one regard. In my personal and professional opinion, your friends aren't professionally trained healers or experts. They're going to give you a lot of subjective advice. So I'm saying that your friends and loved ones can't give you good advice, but it's a different dichotomy. It's a different relationship that you have. And so investing the money to get professional help, professional healing, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a lot of money. Like you could read a book or listen to someone's podcast. It doesn't mean you have to invest all this money, but time, diligence, attention to start transmuting some of this, especially as we're working through all of these transits, the moon conjunct Chiron and the moon making applied square to Pluto, so you can start shifting whatever that fear is. And it might just be looking further into this Aries and potentially Capricorn parts of your chart, or even just what it means to be a leader, to be powerful, to be in that masculine, courageous energy. What's holding you back? What has holded you back? If maybe you made a mistake or failed at something in your past and now you don't feel like you can do something, or someone chastised you for making a mistake in the past, these can all be things that are like a moon, Chiron in Aries type energy, but that is soon going to pass on Wednesday. And then the moon is going to be making that applied and conjunction to Jupiter. So it seems like there's this opening or opportunity for like the penny to drop, or this huge idea to come through, which is, of course, beautiful. And furthermore, with the moon making an applied square to Pluto, it's also making an applied sextile to Mars, which is the ruler of this Aries moon for today. So once you make up your decision, once you have that inspired download, make the action. Just do something of that energy. Even for me, like this moon conjunct Jupiter, let's say you really want a certain frequency, whether that's a home, clothing, food, love, whatever that is, be sure to touch that frequency. Like for me, as I was playing with bigger numbers and calling in more wealth, I would check myself into a 5-star hotel for the night, like something really expensive that would push my limits. And then every time I would book in for a hotel, it wasn't as scary or it wasn't as daunting. Like those limiting fears around money or what was responsible to invest into a hotel room would get less and less because I would touch that frequency every 3 months. Same thing when I would spend money on clothes or vacation or whatever that is. If you don't push yourself, you don't challenge yourself, you're not going to get stronger. This can be the same analogy too. Like if you just did the exact same workout with the exact same weights every single day, you're not going to get stronger. You're going to maintain where you currently are, and that's fine. But you have to have some of those workouts where it feels like your legs are going to give out on you on the treadmill when you're sprinting, or you need a spotter when you're lifting a really heavy weight. You need to challenge yourself. And by placing yourself in a frequency that you want, physically placing yourself there is even better. That way you're going to feel it. You're going to feel worthy. You're going to feel this power emanating from especially the transits that we have. I mean, that's always a good exercise, but I want to give you all resources and tools that you can use this week to help work with these transits. I mean, hello, Venus is in Taurus. We should not need an excuse to be bougie and fabulous and feel this luxury, this wealth, this happiness, this love. Sidebar, I was also thinking of like Taurus, like Venus and Taurus, how kind of like gullet and décolletage are two sides of Taurus, where it's like there can be the gluttonous aspect, but then there can be the refinement and the beauty of how luxury can bless us and our family and our loved ones. That's just like a musing I had when I was walking, and I'm sure some of you will appreciate. Okay, Thursday. When we get to Thursday, the moon is finishing off its transit and we'll go into Taurus, which is amazing. However, the one thing to note that a lot of people have been talking about is now Pluto is going to move into Aquarius. So naturally, we all had the opportunity to see where Saturn was during its rune in Aquarius. So that part of your chart is now going to be activated by Pluto. Here's the thing. Pluto is only going to have like a little guest feature in Aquarius this year because it's going to start retrograding in a couple months, and it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn on June 11th. So it's only here for a few months, but then once it moves back into Aquarius in 2024, it's going to be there for 20 years. So I say that because this power, this autonomy that we've been talking about for this video, now the sun has a sextile to Pluto on Thursday, which is great. So it's like there could be this energy that you want to cultivate. There could be this mastery, this power, or even just truth of a matter where it's like, oh, I now see things clear because I know the truth. I've had a conversation with a superior, with a loved one, with whomever, and it's now very obvious what needs to happen for me to progress. So this is a bigger conversation, of course, but I just want you to note, for those of you who have more of an intermediate knowledge of astrology, look at the house that is ruled by Aquarius. Of course, if you have early placements, especially in air signs, so Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra, and like that 0 to 3 degree range, this Pluto activation, ingress into Aquarius, will be quite pronounced. And I always say this, but astrology is very poetic in terms of these cycles that happen. So we're dealing with all this Aries energy, new moon in Aries, and now we have Pluto coming into a new sign. I literally saw a video about this today about how there are self-driving cars. So there's literally no driver, and you're not allowed to sit in the driver's seat. Literally, like, you have an app, you place the address, and the car drives itself. That for me is like a sneak peek of what this Pluto and Aquarius is. It's like taking everything we know about AI technology and how it can better serve humanity, or potentially how AI and that technology will create new opportunity. How that's going to go down, stay tuned. But it's definitely telling that in terms of these Aquarian themes, we're going to see massive shifts over these next few months. I'm sure once Pluto goes back into Capricorn, legal systems and governing bodies will try and rework how that's going to work. They're only going to have like 6 or 8 months to get that figured out before Pluto goes back into Aquarius. So if you know, you know. We can talk about this more, of course. Let me know if you guys are interested in this, but that's just a little sneak peek of what's to happen. Furthermore, with this moon being in Aries and then also going into Taurus, this is really something, again, to note. There's going to be this forward momentum. It's kind of like this domino effect. You know, when you are playing like Super Mario Kart and you hit a speed boost, that's what I feel like Thursday is, because now we have Pluto in a new sign, which is going to bring activations for everyone, regardless of your chart and what transits you have. And then the moon making that sextile to Mars, and then moving into Taurus, where she's exalted, hitting that direct conjunction with Venus. So Friday as well, that's what I was saying. On Tuesday, with this new moon, if you're still tired, if you don't feel like manifesting or doing things, that is okay. The moon is still going to be its new moon phase until Friday. And on Friday, we now have the moon still in her new moon phase, conjunct Venus, and the moon is exalted in Taurus. So, and Friday is Venus's day. So there's a lot of good fertility here. There's a lot of abundance. This is a really good aspect for those trying to conceive a child. If you want to get pregnant, this is a great day to do so. If you don't want to get pregnant, take the precautions needed. Also, if you're wanting to submit something, like submit a project or a proposal, or for representation, or for a new job, like new applications that you want to grow and to have fertility, this is a phenomenal day. Please take advantage. It's like there's so many green check marks where it's like, yes, 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 yes. Friday's just a great day for whatever you want it to be. Also, too, if you're wanting to call in something new, like new clients, make sure that you're putting that energy out there. Even on Thursday, this would be a great day as well to post things on social media, content, advertising, even just showing, like, again, Aries is I am. That's the motto. So showing who you are, what you're becoming, that could be a great day for social media, for services or products, for emails, newsletters. Friday's also a really great day for that too. Friday could also call in a lot of money for those that trade in stocks, or if you're trying to save money with a really good deal, Friday's often good for that. And this could be really quick because we have the moon conjunct Venus and Uranus, and then the North nodes have there for like an extra little boost. So take full advantage of the energy on Friday and either call in or create whatever you would like. Really, really, really good, strong day for everything. It's kind of like the Empress energy in tarot, where it's like blessings, abundance, fertility. Whew. How are we doing? I feel like I've been talking forever, but I'm really excited about these transits. I'm like, we need to disseminate the knowledge so everyone is aware. Also, Mars at 29 degrees on Friday. So Mars is about to move into Cancer. And here we are. So of course, Mars has been in Gemini since August of 2022. So it's been a rather long time. So for those of you that have heavy mutable energy in your chart, this may seem like a bit of relief. Aries and Scorpio risings, now with Mars moving into a different sign, we're going to see a different tone. And this is why I've been emphasizing, and I even brought this up in the workshop as well, the Aries New Moon workshop, is that with Mars in Gemini for the first new moon, it's going to have a different tone when we get to the second new moon, not just because it's an eclipse, but because Mars is the ruling planet of Aries, and Mars in Cancer, Mars is in its fall in Cancer. So it can kind of be the energy where like you love something or love someone, but you're not getting that same love and reciprocity back. And so that can be very frustrating and very challenging to deal with. It's kind of like if a mother was trying to love its child, but the child kept running away, kept cursing at the mother, kept doing all these things. Like the mother's like, let me just help you. Like, I'm here for you. But the child is having none of it. So if we want to productively use Mars in Cancer, it can be a situation where you're doing a lot of work to help people heal. It can also be where you're just putting your energy, your focus, your drive into things that you love, things that you want to nurture, things you want to expand. And this is very interesting because it's very rare to have this. There's an aspect in astrology called mutual reception. It's when a planet isn't in its home sign or a sign that it does well in, but it is making an aspect to a fellow planet where there is strong power. So Mars, like I said, rules over Aries. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So throughout this entire Mars transit, which is going to be between March 25th and May 20th, Mars is making a sign-based square to Jupiter. And there's strong mutual reception there. So a square between Mars and Jupiter is like a lot of options where you might want to help out so badly, and there can be great opportunity. But how amazing would it be if you had the mindset that I'm pouring my love into people, into dreams, into opportunities that love me back? I'm no longer going to spend and waste energy on situations that are not reciprocated back to me. That is how I would recommend everyone to use this. And as a little sidebar, for those that have strong Scorpio placements, Mars also rules over Scorpio. So there's going to be mutual reception there. No matter what planet you have, there's going to be some nice energy there, especially if you're a Scorpio moon, because then the moon is in its home sign in Cancer. Mars rules over Scorpio. So these are a bit more intermediate astrology transits, but I know a lot of you that watch these videos every week and you want to expand your knowledge. So I'm just kind of giving these little snippets, and that might encourage general questions that I can then answer in future videos, or like I said, during the offerings that I'm doing this week as well, or just future content. So that is that. Is there anything else I want to say about that? We also have the moon making a sextile to Neptune on Saturday, which is great. And just in terms of like the energy, the frequency, manifestation, like I was saying, Friday is a very strong day for manifestation. And you might even see further proof or evidence of what you're manifesting on Saturday. And now Sunday, this is interesting as well. And again, for those of you who are wanting to work with astrology and see how it can benefit you, this is now the first time we've had the moon in Gemini without the presence of Mars, like I said, since late August of 2022. So now we're in a space where the moon is by itself and she's getting all this support from the placements in Aries. So this is also a great time to brainstorm, to create content. Like if you want to just create a whole bunch of content for the month of April, Sunday would be a great time to do it. Like you might also want to be very social. You might also feel very creative. Like if you're hanging out with certain people and then you're just brainstorming nonstop, coming up with ideas, having fun, this would be a great time to do that. Or acquiring knowledge very quickly. So let's say you're studying for a course, you need to get a paper done. Sunday is really, really strong for that as well. And we also have the moon making a trine to Pluto. So there might be revelations around feminine energy, around a relationship with a feminine person, or this could just be you breaking through emotionally, being like, oh, this is what I was missing. Let's go fully into this and cultivate it and expand. This is also something I would just want you to play with as well, especially if you do have lots of air energy in your chart, that this moon Pluto could really accelerate things. This could really make things clear. This could just form your own autonomy. This could also be really strong as well for those who've been working on your voice, how you express yourself, your throat chakra, and really speaking your truth. And that way, if you're encountering certain people, especially with this Mars in Cancer, it's not that you have to tell them off. You're just so confident in what you're doing that your voice supersedes you, or that you have so much power in your voice, or calling in resources to help you acquire more intelligence, more power, or more authority over your voice. All right. But yeah, like I said, pretty much every day this week is highly activating. Monday is the one day that I would say that you should rest, especially if you didn't have an opportunity to do so on the weekend. Rest, release, purge. Monday's a really strong day just for like self-care as well. And then high activations in your dream state with that moon conjunct Neptune on Monday night. Now, the astrology question of the week comes from Araceli. Araceli shout out to this beautiful angel. They always timestamp the days, and they were the ones to first do it. And I know there's other people that start doing it now. You all are a beautiful community, and I thank you. But Araceli had a really good question that I want to answer. So regarding day and night charts, I asked my mom what time I was born, and she gave me a range between X time and another time. It's like 12 a.m., 2 a.m. Does a day chart start at midnight? And does this 2-hour range majorly impact one's natal chart? So if we're talking about day charts versus night charts, because that can have a different influence on sect and which planets can give you more benevolence and which ones you have to watch out for. And I spoke about this on last week's question of the week, but a day chart is defined. So we can even just pull up this chart that we just looked at. So you want to look at the ascendant and the descendant line in your chart, because that is the horizon, right? With the sun is above the ascendant descendant line, that automatically makes it a day chart. If the sun is below the ascendant and descendant line, that means you were born at night. That's going to differ on the country, the city, even what season you were born at, right? Because of course we know in summer, sun stays out longer. You can even just think of it when the sun has fully set, it is now a night chart. So that's going to be different, like I said, depending on the year. Why this is important is because when we're talking about sect, which teams or which times the planets do better on. If you're born during the day, that means that Jupiter is your greater benefic planet, but then Mars becomes more malefic. If you're born at night, that means that Venus is your greater benefic, and then Mars is less malefic. That means like if you're born at nighttime, then Saturn transits can be a bit more challenging. If you're born during the day, Mars transits can be more challenging. And then also too, if you're born at night, you may resonate more with your moon sign than your sun sign, because if you're born at night, the moon becomes your greater luminary. And that's why I think it's interesting when people try and denigrate astrology just based off the sun sign. I'm like, of course, you don't really resonate with your sun sign. We want to look at your rising. And also if you're born at night, your moon sign is going to be really, really important. And then of course, if you're born during the day, you want to look at your sun sign, and that will be a big expression of you as well. The second part of that question is, does a 2-hour range make a big difference? Of course, it can make a difference on a day versus night chart, depending on what that range is, but it really makes a strong difference on your rising sign. I've had clients before where literally a 1-minute difference changes their rising sign. It goes from 29 degrees of one sign to 0 degrees of another. So in terms of how to get this time, or can you find out one's rising sign without a birth time? There are ways to do it with rectification techniques. You can inquire with that astrologer to see if they specialize in that. I've worked with clients and done it personally, but it is a process, and you want to ensure that you do all the steps that you possibly can before you meet with an astrologer to help you. So if it were me, I would, if you were born in a hospital, contact that hospital, contact many forms of the administration to see if there's a detailed record of when you were born. A lot of times people are like, no, my parents said they can, or I called one time. People say things because they are lazy. I'm not talking about your parents, but like hospital admin people. I was trying to find a document regarding real estate in Vancouver, and the realtor couldn't get it. I called 4 different people, and then I found it. And so I was on the phone for maybe 15 minutes, and I got the document that I needed. That was really important for me. I'm saying this because a lot of times if we hear no once, it can be tempting to give up and being like, oh, I tried. Keep on digging. There most likely is someone that can help you, and where that document is like, yep, if you were born at this hospital, you're actually born at this exact time, which is going to be a stronger record than potentially either of your parents. Because I've had clients before being like, my mom said this time, my dad said this time. It's like a difference of 4 hours. Again, if this was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, that might be challenging. Whereas some parents are like, yep, I know the exact time. So that's one thing. Check the hospital if you were born in a hospital. Secondly, if you weren't born in a hospital, then I would ask any living relative, being like, hey, do you remember if I was born during the day or at night? This will just help give a more general breakdown of the chart, where if you're born during the day, you can use 12 noon as a placement time of birth. If you're born at night, you can use midnight as a generic time. Some people like to use the ascendant hitting the sun if you were born during the day, so changing the time. And if you were born at night, they'll put the ascendant on the moon as a general way of interpreting the chart. That's one technique. I also just like knowing if a client's born during the day at night, because then it'll make it easier to hone in on the moon, because the moon changes signs every 2.5 to 3 days. So sometimes within a day, like we often see in these breakdowns, the moon starts off in one sign and then finishes in the other. So in that regard, having a 2-hour window can help because it may affirm and give a definite answer as to what one's moon sign is. And then last of all, I've had clients do this, and this can take a bit more work and self-discipline, but I've had clients go inward, and whether they've asked for messages in a dream of what time they're born or doing pendulum work, they've really gotten specific, and then they find out their either time of birth or they get a very clear answer on their rising sign. And then once they take that rising sign and do research and then talk with an astrologer, like, yeah, of course, like they might not know the exact degree of the ascendant, but at least they know their rising sign is in X sign. And then that helps to give their full birth chart a bit more clarity. So there's 3 things you can do if you don't have a specific birth time that can really help clear that up. And at least with the rising sign, it really does play a huge part on your physical appearance. So oftentimes too, like Saturnine people, Aquarius and Capricorn risings, and this, of course, there's a lot of things that take into consideration, but generally speaking, like Saturnine people can usually be either a bit more lean or they just age backwards. So even if you're not super skinny, if you are like aging backwards, if you're getting more and more youthful looking as you get older, that's a very clear indication of a Capricorn or Aquarius rising. Aries or Scorpio risings have a very definitive, like angular features, right? It's ruled by Mars. So it can kind of seem like they're a Martian or kind of like warrior, goddess, god type energy. Very, very lean, very like sharp features I often find with those 2 risings. Especially Scorpio risings, their eyes are very, very powerful. They're very hypnotic almost. So that's a clear indication of a Scorpio rising. And then like Taurus and Libra risings usually would have an affinity for beauty or for connection or amicability. There would be sometimes rounder features when we're talking about Venus, so a rounder face or rounder bodies. If we're talking about Gemini or Virgo risings, that can be more of like an ectomorph where it's long and kind of like skinny. I kind of think of like Sarah Jessica Parker. I believe she's a Gemini rising, and she has like very like long, slender limbs. And Virgo rising too, it might just be like a more of a mercurial look, like wearing glasses, or just kind of has a more like wispy appearance to them. And then we're talking about Pisces and Sag risings, that can be a myriad of things. I often find it's kind of like this gregarious, bigger than life, either personality or even body, right? Where it could be like super muscular or just like super curvaceous and vivacious looking. And that can kind of manifest in a couple of different ways. So again, I didn't think I was going to go down that rabbit hole, but here we are. That can help you even just like when people ask me, like, what's my zodiac sign? I was like, well, I'm probably picking up on your rising sign more than your sun sign. If I ask them, if I really want to go into it, I will ask them for like key descriptor words. If I'm just looking at someone and how they dress and their overall energy and getting a sense, I can usually pick out their rising or their moon or their sun. Like it's very clear to me because you just knowing the person's rising sign, typically like physical feature wise, you're going to be able to point out what that sign normally is. So that was a more of a bigger breakdown of day versus night charts, and then how you can find out the exact time of birth, or at least your rising sign, which can help give you a better scope of your overall natal chart if you don't have a definitive birth time. Okay. So let me know if there's any follow-up questions to that. Like I said, there's offerings below. If there's any general questions that you may have based on what we discussed, or even on that astral question of the week, you can let me know. Otherwise, have a phenomenal week. Happy birthday to all my Aries angels who are celebrating this week. Have a wonderful new moon. Have a fantastic start to this energetic new year. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.